Pickaxe.
Hello, you are listening to the podcast version of this week's One Life Left radio show. I'm Simon Byron.
I am s23e Curran.
And who's that with us?
How do you handle this, Simon, in the podcast edition? Because it doesn't make any sense.
We let Sam speak. Sam!
Hi, I'm Sam. Hello.
Thank you for joining us as a super special guest.
Spoiler warning.
Spoiler warning, should have said. No, you are right, Steve. Yeah, that was our first guest where using this new recording system. Now, I've seen some chat on the Discord where some people are grumbling that they've about the beer adverts that they've been getting and how difficult it is to cancel a trial subscription to a beer service. Here's some advice: don't. They send you beer. But, you know, all that lovely corporate sponsorship that we're enjoying, like I say, I do believe we got paid £8 in October. It's going towards providing you, the listener, with this high-quality service, which allows us to bring guests in. How do we all feel that went then, Sam, Steve?
Sam first.
Well, I think considering you've not had a guest on for a while, I'm honoured that I was the first person to be allowed back on. Now, I'm going to take it in that. Not that I approached you and said, why don't you have me on? I'm taking this as a real win. So thank you for that.
You absolutely should. I thought it was excellent. Really, really good to have a guest again, and again to have the best guest again. It's super, super fun to have another voice on the show.
Yes.
And yeah, the tech worked as well. So
broadly, I do think that there were moments where we talked over each other a little bit. And I'm sorry, that was probably me. There was a bit of delay, I think. So listeners, do watch out for that. We should explain that Sam is from UKIE, which is the trade association for the games industry. We've just finished the hour-long radio show which goes out on Resonance. Now that, Sam, is subject to legal broadcast requirements. There are certain things that we can and can't do during that hour-long segment. However, now you're free from those confines. So is there anything that you'd like to say that you couldn't get off your chest due to broadcast law? Is there anything you can say? Anything secrets?
No, of course not. Well, I know lots of secrets, but they wouldn't be secrets if I told you. So no, in my days of visiting studios, as I do all the time, get to see some amazing things, but I simply can't tell you about them just yet, I'm afraid.
What was the man from the UN really like?
Oh, Sam Barrett, he's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, I don't know what your impression is of the UN and whether they're going to be... Well, you tell me, what's your impression when you hear UN? What are you thinking?
What am I thinking? I'm thinking that if you work at the UN, you probably get to look at your life with a certain degree of satisfaction that you've achieved something and that other people recognise that you've achieved something as well. And, you know, can any of us really say that?
It's got to get serious, this, isn't it?
What I'm trying to say is, Sam, what was he really like? Because someone like that, they've got to be happy with their lot. And
also, he's unlikely to listen to this podcast.
He's not going to.
All right, so Sam Barrett is a warm, friendly, lovely individual who's trying to make a difference, encouraging games companies to consider the environment. You cannot knock a man for that. It's amazing. It's brilliant work he's doing.
But what can we knock him for? That's what we're trying to find out. That's what we're trying to drill into. Give us something to knock.
Well, he hasn't come on the show, has he? Let's be honest. He needs to come on the show. That's the answer.
Very true.
Okay, then, Sam, here's your opportunity now. So you say that you're carrying a lot of secrets around with you. Can you say something that only you and the other people that know the secret would know and recognise that we can come back to in a year's time or 2 years' time when the secret is revealed and you go, well, that's what I was talking about? Just some sort of coded message.
You're always looking for world exclusives on the show, aren't you? I would go and check out the game being made by Absolutely Games in Guildford. I'd go and have a look at that. That is a stunning product.
Okay, when you say...
Do you know what? Do you know what, Sam? I've seen that game.
Have you? Oh, well
I
done.
haven't. So when you say check it out, like, what is the best vantage point? How can we see inside Absolutely Games without them knowing?
They have enormous windows on the outside, so if you point yourself in the building opposite with a telescope, I think think you'll be able to see what's going on. Or alternatively, ring them up and just ask if you can come and have a look at it. I'm sure they'd be delighted to let you in.
Maybe we can get them on the show, Simon.
Maybe we could. I like what Sam said there, actually, because I think you've said a couple of things which are to do with the game, or could be to do with the game. It's all got a bit better now. Right, thank you. Sam, it's your last, so we're off the radio now. Are there any swear words that you need to get off your chest?
I didn't feel compelled to swear at all during that, no. Even when my mum sent me a message saying, "Where are you? We have a family call." And she was messaging me, and my phone beeped.
Yeah.
My mummy's harassing me. "Where are you?" she says. "I'm late for my call."
Yeah. Well, fast forward. So I'm very grateful for your proactiveness in being a guest this week. Fast forward a week now, I think we're going to have your mum on. What we could do is just pre-record the Collins family call every Sunday.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's not coming in this hour. It's the usual One Life Left, but with Sam Collins, who's a brilliant guest. Thank you very much for coming on. Thank you for listening. Here's the show.
Hello, good evening and welcome to One Life Left on Resonance 104.4 FM. We are the greatest video game radio show in the world, or at least the longest running. And my name is s23e08. Curran.
Hello, I'm Simon Byron.
Simon, how are you?
I'm all right, Steve. I realised on the walk up to the shed that as I left my back door and traipsed through the garden, that was the first time I'd left the house today.
Is that good or bad?
I mean, I hadn't realised until that point. I've been indoors all day. It started off watching the cricket this morning. I've watched a lot of football. I've played a few video games. I made a roast. We were watching Annie together before we recorded the show, although my daughter got a little bit bored of that and started to play a game called Giggle Face, which was fun. But yeah, so there we go. I've had a few gulps of fresh air today.
That sounds
what
like
about you?
Excellent day. Well, Simon, I got left alone in the house as my partner took my daughter to street dance in the morning, and I got given two chores to do.
Okay.
Fix the toaster and repair the ducting above the boiler.
Does she not know you? Have you become a man all of a sudden?
I know. How long do you think that would take a normal person, and how long do you think it would take me?
What was wrong with the toaster?
Just wasn't working, Simon. It's a double toaster, 4 slots, and only 2 of them were working. I know. Okay. 2 of them were working, so
and she just said fix. She just said fix the toaster.
Yeah. So I jammed a knife around inside it.
Threw it into a bath. Where did you start then?
Well, no. First, how long do you think it would take me?
2 days.
2 days. I know. So brilliantly. So I here's what I did: turned it upside down, rattled it around, found loads of crumbs inside there, turned it the right way up, tried it, and it worked. Job done.
Seen that sort of thing on the repair shop.
The craftsmanship that went into it. Bang, bang, bang. That was good. Ducting. How long do you think it'd take me? Another 2 days.
Fix the ducting. What is ducting?
It's that. I don't want to bamboozle you with technical terms, but it's that stuff that comes from the boiler, the pipe.
Oh, the stuff. You've got to fix the stuff.
You've got to fix the stuff. Anyway, took the cupboard, the sort of door to the cupboard off, went in there, got the bit, put it with the other bit and the other bit, put a bit of tape on it, put it back, job done. I reckon about 7 or 8 minutes in total.
Did you have your top on or off while you're doing this?
Very much on. And what was beautiful about this, and I can say this because my partner doesn't listen to the show and yours does, is that I did not let on that this was a 7-minute job in total at best, and instead got to spend a glorious 1.5 hours playing FIFA World Cup mode, which we will talk about later in the review section.
Well, are you going to... well, first of all, did you welcome her back with some hot toast and some duckling?
4 slices.
Exactly.
No, they're all the same temperature. Couldn't have done that without my hard work.
Right. And then secondly, you're going to break them again when you want some FIFA time.
Exactly. Just well-placed raisins, Simon. That's all it takes.
Oh,
to short the thing.
Congratulations.
That's
wonderful.
Thank you. So it's been a productive morning.
Good. Well, you would have thought with that sort of inane drivel at the start of the show that we were filling because it's just us two again. You'd be wrong, dear listener. You'd be wrong.
What?
It's the return of a super special guest. We've got the superest, specialist, guestiest of them all. Welcome back to the show, Sam Collins, Head of Commercial and Membership at UKIE. Hello.
I thought you were building up to say Charles Cecil was here. I mean, you got me. Yeah. Well, I felt a bit sorry for you. There was a slight plea in your voice last week, wasn't there?
It really was a plea.
Am I allowed to say that?
Well, I mean, how much more audio flirting could I do with you? It was you that I wanted to respond. We haven't had a guest since Dominic Diamond. And when was that? That was a year ago, wasn't it?
And that wasn't really a guest, was it? That was more splicing in Dominic's bit. You're on the show.
I feel loved. I was here 2 years ago because if you remember, we talked about Christmas quizzes and the fact that I hadn't prepared one.
Yeah.
And I haven't prepared one today either because we're not in December yet. So let's get that out of the way.
I've seen the adverts on the telly though, Sam. Surely that's time to start compiling.
Yeah, it might be in progress, but it's not ready yet. So, yeah. Maybe I'll send some questions in to you in a couple of weeks so you can ask each other those.
Fantastic. Not just a guest, but a content provider as well. Simon, you've done excellent work this week already.
By answering Sam's email. I'll have to say, I mean, that is a triumph these days. I've got an awful lot going on. And there are a lot of people I need to get back to. Sam's not one of them because he's here.
So we will talk to Sam after the news section and during the news section, one assumes, as well. We also have letters coming up later in the show, verified letters I've checked this week. We have reviews as well. I have played more than FIFA, Simon. We'll come to that. Another big hitter this week. And we've got a news section. I haven't done much research for the news. Have you?
I got your back, Steve.
Perfect. Here is the news.
Video game news with Anne Scantleberry.
It's 7:07, 7:08, something like that on a Monday evening on Resonance FM. I'm Simon Byron and here is the news. Oculus creator makes virtual reality headset that intentionally kills people. Palmer Luckey, the creator of Oculus, has created a virtual reality headset that intentionally kills people. Named Nerve Gear, the system aims to closely tie people's virtual life to the real one by bringing them both to an end at the same time. If someone dies in a virtual reality game or experience whilst wearing the headset, then they will be killed in real life at the same time, Mr. Luckey said. It does so by detecting the specific shade of red that shows when a person dies, meaning that developers could easily integrate the system. Once the red shows, 3 explosive modules explode, and this is in quotes, instantly destroying the brain of the user. Mr. Luckey said that the system is still unfinished. He aims to make it impossible to remove or destroy the headset so that people would be stuck inside virtual reality. Because of the limitations of the design and the danger that it could fail and kill people at the wrong time, he has still yet to try it out himself, he said in a blog announcing the new system. Mr. Luckey said that while the technology at the moment is just a piece of office art intended to be thought-provoking about game design, but he also said it seems to be the first time such a system has been created, and, again in quotes, it won't be the last. That story was from The Independent and was passed to me by listener and partner, my wife. Thanks, Kate, for passing that on. How do you feel about that? It's not April the 1st.
I feel terrible. I feel terrible that this has happened. I feel terrible that the press has bought into it by reporting it, us as well. I feel terrible that Palmer Luckey is involved, because generally I feel terrible about thinking about him at all. I also feel terrible about the implications. I think I read a report about this that talks about how the technology that's being used, or at least the access to the small rounds of explosives that destroy your brain when, you know, a certain shade of red is displayed in the game, which again is not something I would entirely trust developers to do correctly. Like, you know, I don't know, fireworks go off to celebrate something, and for one frame, the wrong colour of confetti flies in front of the camera, and oops, that's the end. Apparently the technology comes from other companies that he's involved with, because I believe, I may be wrong about this, but he sidestepped towards military interactivity and hardware after leaving Oculus. So yeah, none of this news story is feel good at all, is it, Simon?
Apologies, Steve. Sam, would you welcome Palmer Luckey into UKIE with these sort of credentials?
Well, if he applied to join, we'd have to verify, check out the organisation meets the requirements. It's a bit desperate. You know, we all lose brain cells when we get older anyway. Maybe it's just accelerating that process. Maybe we shouldn't worry too much about it.
It definitely is accelerating that progress. Simon, is there a game that you would back yourself in wearing this headset?
What, a game that I can finish, that I will never die in?
A game that someone says, all right, Simon, you can have £100, but you have to wear this headset.
Now I'm interested.
I know. I was thinking, what is the lowest number I could get away with?
It is that. £100.
£100. Yeah. You're gambling your life inside this game. Which game would it be?
Well,
can't say Sensible Soccer.
No, I can't. I mean, it would add some more tension to the final round of Marvel Snap, wouldn't it?
What's our time to Marvel Snap this week? 12 minutes.
There we go. Let's move on to news story 2. Twitter users are using the platform's new Elon Musk era changes to impersonate official video game companies. For a small fee, anyone can now pay up and receive a blue Twitter verified tick next to their name. So of course, people are handing over their $8 specifically in order to trick others online. A verified Nintendo of America account went viral last night as it posted an image of the company's mascot Mario giving the middle finger. The handle at Nintendoofus has now had their account suspended, but not until their tweets have been widely shared. A verified Rockstar Games account claimed the company would formally unveil Grand Theft Auto 6 next week. A verified Valve account last night announced that Half-Life makers' next competitive platform named Ricochet Neon Prime in a tweet which received thousands of likes. A verified Twitch account also announced changes to the platform's much-discussed subscription model. In a tweet from last night, which is currently still live, presumably because the account explains in its bio that it's a parody, "We've heard you. After a lot of feedback from ambassadors and partners, the sub-split will be changing from December." Twitter's rapid changes to how it displays verified accounts have caused widespread confusion. Yesterday, the company rolled out a separate official tag for certain verified accounts, only for it to be ditched just hours later by Elon Musk himself, as he decided he didn't like it after all. That was from Eurogamer. Thank you, Tom Phillips, who wrote the story on the 10th of November. So it's already out of date because I believe Twitter has suspended the verification process. But what a lot of fun everybody had.
Isn't it? It's been so much fun. Like, ironically, if this is the descent and the final few days of Twitter, Twitter is good again. Like, everyone's enjoying it, apart from the brands. And no one wants the brands to be enjoying Twitter. The problem is the brands support Twitter as a free platform, so it's not sustainable. But wow, it was fun. I saw this Mario post. The perfect thing is that name, right? Nintendo of US turns out to be Nintendoofus. And I saw the screenshot afterwards that was going around, which was, you know, someone quite hurt replying to it going, "Mario would never do that," frowny face. And Nintendo of America, Nintendoofus replying, "Well, he did."
I'm afraid Mario's been drinking.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Did any of you see the Roblox tweet?
Mm-mm.
We are now adding sex to Roblox. Sam, are you verified? Is Yuki verified? What's going on with your Twitter account?
I am. This sounds like fun, actually. This sounds like a real hoot, something I could have done. If only I had any interest in Twitter whatsoever. I'm one of those people that tweets infrequently. I only tweet about boring Yuki stuff. But I do have about 1,000 followers, but I've only sent 20 tweets in my life or something ridiculous. It's one of those stupid ratios. I'm not the person to talk
They
about
must be
Twitter. I don't
thirsty for
understand it.
more content.
Well, I mean,
if there's
just get
20
I'll just
tweets,
retweet stuff.
they're waiting for the next one.
Well, Yuki's got quite a few followers, but I don't know.
You should have capitalised on the fun and done one of Jo with her finger up.
Yeah, but that's a daily occurrence in the office. So
exactly.
Easy to get a picture of. No editing required.
So yeah, it's all chaos. I mean, I've still not moved over to Mastodon or what have you. But people do describe these as the last days of Twitter. Do we think it's going to fold or not?
I don't think it will. I think that there'll be this period of chaos. I think at some point, I don't know. I think it's possible that there'll be a sort of reorg of management. Elon Musk will step away. There'll be someone calmer who takes control of it. It reverts to where it is, because there are fundamentally hundreds of millions of people. And what we're watching right now is him or the current board discover moderation in real time. So trying this thing that has been tried before, and then you see why it doesn't work, and all of these things unfolding before us. So I don't think Twitter's going anywhere. What I know is, and I think I mentioned this last time, that while I like co-host, presumably that's not going to work out, because that's the one where I got the right name on. Everything else I haven't moved to, and I am a good indication of which social media platform is going to bomb. So, don't know. Someone did suggest we should set up a One Life Left Mastodon instance, and I thought, well, that means they haven't listened to the show and our confusion about Mastodon last week.
Yes, I think we'll stay where we are for the time being. EA has predicted that Argentina will win the 2022 FIFA World Cup. Using the dedicated World Cup rankings and a newly released World Cup kickoff and tournament modes in FIFA 23, EA has come to the conclusion that Argentina will win the trophy for the first time since 1986. According to EA's predictions, Argentina will meet Brazil in the final after beating France in the semis. Doesn't sound like the final will be a memorable one, though, with the final score being 1-0. EA also claims that Lionel Messi will win the Golden Boot with 8 goals scored across all 7 games, and will also pick up the Golden Ball for being the best player at the tournament. Such predictions would be considered trivial were it not for the fact that EA has accurately predicted the last 3 World Cup winners. In 2018, the publisher correctly identified that France would win the tournament, whilst in 2014 it declared that Germany would win, which it promptly did. It also correctly guessed in 2010 that Spain would win the World Cup for the first time in its history. Elsewhere in EA's 2022 prediction, England only gets as far as the round of 16 before being beaten 3-1 by the Netherlands. United States make it to the quarterfinals in EA simulation, eventually bowing out to a 1-0 defeat by France. So there we go. World Cup spoiled for you, everybody.
Well, not spoiled, because I knocked Argentina out 4-1 in the quarters.
They were knocked out by Stockport County, weren't they?
Do you know what? I was going to talk about this in the reviews, but I've been finding FIFA quite difficult on professional mode. But it turns out it's much easier if you play as England than if you play as Stockport, for some reason. I don't know. But I knocked Argentina out 4-1 in the quarters and then beat France 3-2 after extra time in the semis. Haven't played the final yet, but I'm up against Brazil. So we'll see.
Interesting. Well, let me tell you, Steve, that the bookies disagree with EA at the moment. They think Brazil are favourites to win at 4-1, with Argentina 11-2. Now, given that we know who wins the World Cup, this is going to be a very lucrative time for us, isn't it? How much money have we got in the old One Life Left bank account? Because I mean, I haven't looked into whether there's a guarantee from EA on this, but presumably we would be covered in some form by them if Argentina don't win the World Cup and we put all of our money on it.
FIFA does feel very, very accurate when you're playing it at the upper levels versus languishing in the Papa John's trophy as I have been doing before. The players do look like the players, and the stadiums look like the stadiums and everything. So
Wow.
I no reason to suspect that the results will not be 100% accurate from this prediction. And you're right, we should bet our One Life Left house on it.
Are you looking forward to the World Cup, Sam?
Yeah, I just wonder how much is in the bank account. You've told how much it costs to run this show each month, and you've just given 100 to Simon. I mean, there can't be much left.
Can you bet debt? I don't know.
I don't know. Is that part? Yeah. Maybe you can claim video games tax relief for it. There might be something you can claim there. Yeah, I love football. I've really got the this is going out publicly, but I've got all the fixtures in my diary, so I'm trying to not book meetings when any of the games are on, just in case I might want to go and watch them, as you can imagine. Argentina have Alexis McAllister in the centre of midfield, the best midfield player in the world, so I think they probably are going to win. Does it predict fantasy players? I always do a little fantasy team. Can EA drill down into individual player stats? Because that might be quite useful.
Well, I'm sure they're listening. I would have thought, and actually, well, the next show goes out the second day of the World Cup after England's first game at 1:00 on the Monday. I've got the day off. Well, hopefully we'll be able to update everybody in the next show. You surprised me there, Steve. Street Fighter 6 is adding a new dynamic control scheme which allows players to button mash and have AI pull off moves for them. That's according to a new interview published by Game Informer, which reveals the third control scheme is being planned in addition to classic and the previously revealed modern controls. The latter was revealed alongside SF6 earlier this year as a means of allowing less experienced players to pull off special moves more easily by using simplified button inputs. The new dynamic control scheme introduces another layer of accessibility by allowing players to mash buttons and have the game's AI determine which moves to pull off based on various factors, Capcom claims. In a normal fighting game, when they mash buttons, they just do a lot of whiffs, director Takayuki Nakayama told Games Industry. We want something important and something that makes a difference happen by randomly pressing buttons. According to... Game Informer, not Games Industry. According to the publication, dynamic controls work by allowing AI to decide dynamically which attack to perform as the player presses face buttons based on their character's current position and situation. If a character is far away, pushing the face button might throw a projectile, while that same button might pull off a combo in an up-close encounter, GI wrote, adding that players using this control scheme will still be able to manually move their character and perform parries. However, unlike the modern and classic control schemes, which Capcom says have been balanced to work well against each other, dynamic controls will be limited to local play. That is a story from videogameschronicle.com, posted by Andy Robinson. I mean, this sounds like a right mess, doesn't it?
That's where I started when I was thinking about this. I mean, I know that they've experimented with stuff like this before. You assign, for example, a special move to a button instead and allow people to pull off the spectacular stuff. The joy of a special move is that execution. Like, right, it is pulling off a quarter circle in a punch or a dragon punch or whatever else you want to do. And the feel of mastery that comes from that, something that you can't do every time. But this time you've executed, and even better, you've executed at the right time and you've won a fight because of that. That's the joy of Street Fighter. However, we're both fans, right, Simon, of Mario Kart's child mode, which at a basic level just allows a kid to sit there and feel like they're playing that game without actually performing any of the skill-based inputs. And you can turn that up pretty high, so they're doing almost nothing. So this is kind of the equivalent, isn't it, but for Street Fighter?
Yeah, but that's what people who don't know how to play the game are doing anyway, aren't they?
But not successfully, not in a way that can. You've talked before how I'm not saying your daughter has beaten you with that mode, but she's come 7th out of 8, right? You're never going to win a fight in Street Fighter by just randomly mashing buttons, or are you?
But whenever I play, so we don't play Street Fighter. Actually, we play Marvel vs. Capcom when we play on the old arcade cabinet. And she's mashing the buttons anyway, and I just let her win. Now, am I still going to be able to do that when she's suddenly very good?
Well, I suppose that's the issue, right?
I'm going to have to beat her. So this is going to be a shame for my daughter.
There are definitely fighting games I think the sort of random button mashing thing can be a valid attack plan, right? When you're playing someone of a certain level, certainly like when I play Tekken or whatever game that I barely know how to play, I will probably lose to someone who's mashing buttons because I'm not good enough. But yeah, I don't know. I quite like the idea of allowing people into games who previously haven't been able to do it, even if they're not getting the full joy of the experience.
Who's best at Street Fighter in UK, Sam?
Colm Seeley. He is sensational at Street Fighter.
Okay.
Lives, breathes it, wears the T-shirt, tells us about it all the time. I've not been brave enough to play him. Many, many years ago, I used to work for Virgin Interactive, and we used to publish Street Fighter games. And I thought I was quite good at them. I had to go out and demo them to retailers, and so I thought I was decent. I got my backside handed to me on many occasions when I played someone that was good, and so I retreated from the fray a little bit. Maybe this helps people that aren't that good to be competitive in a game, which is not such a bad thing.
I was going to say, so Virgin did the console versions. Did they do the SNES and the Mega Drive versions? Were those
Mega Drive and then into console versions as well? Yeah. Weren't you doing some PR for us at the time?
No, I was, but prior to that, no, I was just trying to think because it was US Gold that published the computer versions, which I remember because I was on an Amiga magazine at the time, and it came on 8 discs, and you had to swap discs every time you changed a character. So playing Street Fighter just because it took hours to get past it. So maybe just having a button you can push to win makes sense. Steve, that's it for the news stories.
All right, thanks, Simon.
One Life Left video game news with Anne Scantleberry.
Hi, my name is Alice Curran and I'm a game designer.
What's your new game this week?
So, there is the jokes.
The jokes. Okay, what do you do in the jokes?
It has chickens going back to the libraries. So,
Is the jokes based on a joke?
yes.
What's the joke? Tell me the joke first.
Chicken goes to the library.
Okay, the chicken goes to the library. What happens when the chicken goes to the library?
It says book, 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 book.
And what happens next?
It goes back a second later and goes book, 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 book.
Okay, and then?
Book, 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 book.
And what happens after that?
Goes down to the river and gave it to the frog and goes, wet it, and finished. That's the joke.
Okay, so I think I understand the joke now. What happens in the game?
We have to do what the joke does.
Right, I see. So you're the chicken.
So I'm the chicken, and I go running around to get books from the library.
I see. So you're the chicken, and you go into the library and you say...
Book, 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 book.
Every time you press a button on the controller, you say...
Book, 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 book.
And when you say that, the librarian gives you...
A book.
Right. And what do you do with the books?
Give it to the frog, and it says, read it.
Got you. So in the game, you're a chicken, you run around, you go to the library, you press the button, you go book, the librarian gives you a book, you take it to the frog says...
Read it.
And then you get a point.
Yeah.
Is there anything the player can do in the game that is bad?
No.
No, you can only win in the game.
We can only win.
When will the game be finished?
June.
June. And how much will the game cost?
5.
5 what?
£5.
Perfect. What would you give the game out of 10?
7 out of 10.
Is that the end of your design?
Yes.
Okay, do you want to say goodbye to everyone?
Bye. Dad, what should we do now I finished my radio?
That's Alice again with her third design. I've recorded 3 more pieces of content today.
Oh, Steve, she's won, hasn't she? She's won games.
So far, I did try and, on your suggestion, get her to describe Sega's Mega Game, because I was interested for some insight into what Sega might be doing right now. So she's thinking on that. So we might have a special in a few weeks' time, and she can blow that thing wide open.
Good job, Alice.
Simon, for the first time in I don't know how long I think it's time for the guest section.
Do we have a guest jingle?
We don't. It's a guest.
Sam Collins, thank you for coming on the show. So how are you doing?
Well, I'm glad you didn't ask me to sing my own intro jingle. That would be embarrassing, wouldn't it? You know?
I
but
came very, very close to it. I came very close to asking you to sing it.
Voice of an angel, you know.
Well, so last time you were on, a couple of years ago, we were all still remote, weren't we? I was, I think I wasn't in the shed at that time, so that was before the shed. How have things been since we spoke to you last? Are you back in the office? How's the
UKIE office is open, but I'm not in the office. We have allowed our staff to work remotely, but we do meet up quite regularly in the office for catch-ups. You know, like all businesses need to do. You need to get those teams together, discussing all the plans and get creative together. So we go in sporadically, I think it's safe to say. But my job is mainly going out and seeing companies anyway. So I'm still doing that if they'll have me. Still do some meetings outside, but that's lovely and pleasant all the same. I think it's safe to say most games companies are back now, though, aren't they? Predominantly.
Yes. I think this sort of hybrid mix of home and office seems to be fitting most people. When we were waiting for the show to start, you guys were chatting. Did you see each other in the office this week? Have you been having separate meetings?
No, my company, which is a purely remote company, needs a space in London to have its, semi-regular catch-ups. And so our space of choice is the UKIE office, which is where I was last week. And actually, Sam emailed while I was in his office to say that, to suggest he comes on the show. And I was like, I was so excited. I was like, Sam, I'm here. What? You're not here. It's quite exciting. What a coincidence. But yeah, it's a really, really good space for us, and I'm sure other companies to use as well, and facilitate our remote working. Because as Sam says, you do need to meet people in person sometimes, and it's good.
Well, I assume you two are going back to physical events, though, aren't you? You're getting out there and going to events across the country now. I mean, this is returned with force,
certainly
isn't it?
Steve's barely stationary these days. I just sit in the shed. I've come outside once today.
I'm off to Oslo tomorrow, and then to Slush in Helsinki on Tuesday. And a lot of the industry I know is going out to Slush. But yeah, we've been, I just got booked. In fact, One Life Left just got booked for Croatia for Reboot next year. And it's really nice getting out there, seeing people again.
So what's hot at UKIE at the moment then, Sam? What's keeping you busy?
Well, it's the I would say a usual mixture of supporting businesses and trying to develop some programs for the good of the industry. We try and do our part in helping the industry thrive and expand and do the right thing. So we've got lots of campaigns and programs at the moment. Something I did want to mention, we're running something that starts on Monday. So this is, I guess, impending announcement. Access November starts on Monday next week. Now, the UKIE runs quite a few initiatives. Raise the Game, you're probably aware of. And we have our own EDI group. So these groups just focus on trying to bring increasing diversity in all its forms, whether you're talking about gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation, socioeconomic backgrounds. We want to bring more of this contingency into the games industry. After all, they're playing our games, but they're underrepresented when it comes to creating those games. And so Raise the Game and the UKIE EDI group wants to change that. And Access November is a good example. So there's a 2-week campaign, and it's encouraging companies to think more about making their games and services more accessible, so more people can play them, and to also champion representation of disabled and neurodiverse people in the games themselves that they're creating, and then also in the companies that make them. So there's a whole range of activities, events, some guidance, some case studies you can find on the raisethegame.com website. And loads of events, activities, roundtables, workshops, and the series for the next couple of weeks. So really looking forward to that. It's something we haven't done before. It's the brainchild of Dom Shaw at UKIE, who runs our EDI work. So well done for him for doing it. But yeah, it should be really exciting and a nice new thing for us to do.
You're also leading towards the Guildford Games Festival?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm one of the co-founders of the Guildford Games Festival, actually. So yeah, I mean it's a fascinating. I'm sure you've been to Guildford. You know the history of Guildford, but for people that don't, it's an amazing centre for games development. For the past 35, 40 years, some of the most amazing games have come out of Guildford. I think to an extent, it still makes some great games, but people aren't necessarily aware of it quite as much as they used to be. So the games companies in Guildford have been galvanised by this new enterprise, Guildford.Games, and we run a whole series of activities. There's the social meetups that you would imagine, but we've got an awards event next Friday. On the 18th of November, we're running a dedicated Guildford Steam sale. This generates really good business for the companies in Guildford, but of course showcases those amazing studios, which is what it's all about, to try and raise their profile. And Steam give us amazing support on that. We ran it last year and had over 3 million views of the content. We put some videos, some interviews with dedicated studios and put it up there. We got a digital festival in the new year and an in-person event. If I'm allowed to plug it, you can just get in touch with me or go to Guildford.Games and have a look. But we're doing more of these things across the country. As you can imagine, the current trend is very much government devolving funds out of London, looking at promoting, the levelling up agenda across the country, and we have to play our part in that. So we're trying to get all of the local games ecosystems together and showcase and shout about them. This is just one good example.
Well done. I'm for the first time ever, I'm slightly disappointed that Steve hasn't done a Simon Byron's Fast 5 based around Guildford, because I could absolutely do 5 games that came out of Guildford.
Go on then.
I will do.
Now.
No Man's Sky, FIFA, Fable, Joe Danger, and Fable 2.
Perfect. Flawless, Simon. Well done.
But no, it is. Did you pick it because of it's probably the centre of gaming in England, or have you got a personal affinity with Guildford?
No, I'm not from Guildford. Live nowhere near it. It's one of those things. So we also run or co-organise and support of the London Games Festival, and that was a bit of a first go at running sort of regional activities. We do that with Film London. It's led by Michael French, you probably know, a great guy, gets some amazing work done there. But it was part of stage one of trying to go across the country and do a variety of these. It's not all about London, we've got to get out there and show different regions, and I'm sure more will follow. But yeah, I mean, why not start with a place where...
How do we lobby for that, Sam?
What region do you want?
For it to be our place next.
Hitchin.Games, is that what we're...
Yeah, come on,
who are the great games businesses in Hitchin?
What, in or near Hitchin? You've got 2.
So it's not even a Fast 5, is it? I mean...
I think P Cube are up the road. Yeah, and others. Rising Star Games used to be around here,
Technically just around the corner.
UK games business because CTW and MCV came from here, so
And there's the shed.
Well, I live in this sleepy village in the middle of Essex, and there are, there's 500 people in this village, and 3 of them work in the games industry. So I'm arguing that that's a decent percentage of people that work there. So maybe we can, percentage-wise, start claiming that we're a games cluster in some shape or form.
Excellent. So how do we keep track of what you're up to at the moment?
Well, you can go to the obviously not there. You can go to the UKIE website, ukie.org.uk. For the Access November stuff, go to raisethegame.com. That's all one word, Raise the Game, and check out the initiative in general. It's an amazing program. Guildford Games is Guildford.Games. Websites galore here. I've got lots of other projects going on, so have a good look through the UKIE website and feel free to get in touch with me, and I'll take you through some of those things as well. Lots of things around access to finance. Am I allowed to say we've got our own podcast? I mean, you're a radio show, so I guess that's okay if I can.
Do you know, I saw this. So, yeah. You had somebody from the UN on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we run something called Playable Futures. So, I mean, the games industry is in a bit of a state of flux. There's lots of opportunities, but people aren't really sure where we're going. So we interviewed 10 really globally renowned industry leaders and asked them where they think the industry is going. We started that as a
Steve, were you asked for this?
I was not.
First time hearing of it.
The way my head's going is like, I'm thinking, they got someone from the UN on. What can we do that's bigger than that?
Yeah.
What's bigger than the UN?
Sam Collins.
There we go.
UK.
Straight to the top. Perfect. But yeah, no, we don't feel threatened by podcasts at all, do we? It's adorable.
It's obvious, you know. Yeah.
We're not a podcast. You know, the podcast industry is just like this little cottage industry. It's not like the behemoth of radio, really, is it? FM radio.
Exactly. Good. All right. And then how do people listen to your podcast then, Sam?
It's on the gamesindustry.biz podcast. That's where these are being channeled. They're one of our partners on this, along with Diva and Sumo. And we actually recorded some stuff. I was thinking about you when I was out at Gamescom this year, because we recorded some of the interviews at Gamescom with all the hubbub and noise going on in the background. It's quite difficult, isn't it, to record content with all that noise and the hullabaloo of being there. But we kind of muddled through it, and we've got some good content from that. But it did make me sympathise with some of your efforts in the past.
Efforts is the right word. It really is. All right. Thanks, Sam, so much. You're going to stay with us during the rest of the show, aren't you?
Love to, yeah.
Okay, let's do the letters.
Email, messages, and forward BCC. One Life letters.
Okay, so I can see one letter here from Zubair. Zubair writes, "Hello team in SSG. Tony reviewed The Case of the Golden Idol, giving it a 7 out of 10, saying it scratches your Obra Dinn itches." That's here on the Discord. Obra Dinn, I really wish I could induce some form of amnesia so I can replay that masterpiece for the first time. Which game would you undergo a lobotomy for? Love the show. Zubair. Simon, what game would you like to play for the very first time all over again?
Well, Steve, I'd love to play Uncharted 4 for the first time ever. It looks incredible. Have you seen? It's got the car chases and the bits. It looks like a AAA action film.
Yeah.
But it looks spectacular. I'd love to. I must get round to it one day.
Yep. One day. I agree.
What about you, Sam? What game would you like to experience again for the first time?
I would probably say something like Skyrim, which I put a lot of time into, and I think I've tried other games of a similar genre, just not enjoyed them. Maybe I'd like to go back to that again from the start.
Steve?
I would like to have the moment at the start of Baba Is You again, where you suddenly get it and understand what it's about to do and what it then subsequently does for the next, whatever number of hours until you get stuck. I want to go through that again, but you can never get that back. Talking of which, Simon, I just want to check something on an admin side.
Yeah, please do.
Shut the theme up for a second. That rail game we mentioned last week.
Railbound.
Yeah. How many worlds did you say you'd done on that?
Yeah, I think I overstated what I'd done. Because when I showed it to you, I think I completed, I'd 100%ed worlds 1 and 2.
Okay.
And I was quite far through world 3.
Right, okay, that makes me feel better. Because I'm stuck on World 4. I mean, really stuck on it. And this is my genre. And I was I've spent about an hour and a half on one puzzle, like trying to, because I'm like, Simon can't beat me. Got through to World 6 or something. Okay, fine. Good.
Well, on Sam's point, by the way, Skyrim was 11 years old this week. And so I was like, Skyrim was good, wasn't it? I thought to myself. Mm-hmm. And so I installed it again. And I thought, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to start Skyrim again. I installed it on the old Steam Deck because I thought, an 11-year-old game's going to run really well on the Steam Deck, and downloaded it, started it off, sat on the cart, dragon attacked. We had to run into the castle, and I thought, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered doing all this again, can I? Yeah. It was just stupid. So I didn't.
There's something about that moment, isn't there, where you, like, I've had that in Zelda, like, at times where I've gone, I'll start Link's Awakening again. I had a good time during that. And then, chap runs up to you with the sword and go, here, take this. What's your name? And the cursor blinks. You think, I know what's going to happen here. Never mind.
Yeah.
And, crash out. I think that's our only letter. this week.
Morghese wrote about the Uncharted review last week. Thank you, and complimented Alice's game design tips as well. But we can't read that out, Steve, can we? Because I get uncomfortable with praise.
If you have any letters you'd like to write to us, please do so by emailing
team@onelifeleft.com
or dropping them on the One Life Left Discord. That is the sound of me not playing an ident. This is the sound of me actually playing. You're listening to One Life Left on Resonance 104.4 FM. We're also a podcast. You can find that at www.onelifeleft.com. There you can read the show notes, which will include a link to the One Life Left Discord. You can join us there to chat about games, read the reviews of other listeners, or comment on the show. Show notes written by our under caretaker and producer, Phil. So thank you very much to him. Simon, do we have any other business?
I don't believe so. I went to an audio conference this week. Where
I saw you did a talk or a panel.
I was on a panel.
That's right.
I'm happy to be on panels. I don't want to do talks, although I might do one next year called "Why Wish Lists Don't Matter." Is what I'm thinking of doing, because just see the continual discussion about how many wish lists you need, and the answer is you don't necessarily, with some caveats. But yeah, so I was asked onto a panel. Now I didn't. I was like, it's an audio conference, and it wasn't about the music industry or anything like that. These were people that were interested in things like spatial sound and bit rates and latency and stuff like that. And so when I was asked to go on it, I told them what I knew and thought that they would then go, well, actually, we don't need you to come, Simon. But they still invited me, and I got away with it. I was on a panel with a chap from an audio company, previously worked on PlayStation. So that was nice. But yeah, feel like I got away with it. Met two Dutch guys from a startup who are running a record label for robots.
Perfect.
They won the show. I watched them with my mouth open going, this is incredible. I've got no idea what you're talking about.
Amazing. Good. I'm going to Oslo tomorrow, as I said. I'm going to do a Marioki show there and another one on Tuesday night. Marioki's back in London. In Stratford on Saturday. You can buy tickets for that if you look on the Marioki Twitter, the link is there. It's at Rule Zero, which is the venue we played just after COVID. We decided to go back there for 1 month only. We'll be back in Loading in Peckham in December for the One Life Left Christmas party, and we're just talking to a few other people about other Christmas parties. So who knows, we might be in a region near you soon.
I like the way that you were saying that, like almost directly to Sam. Who knows, Sam? Who knows? It might be the UK Christmas party.
Yeah, if it really is or if it, your village is as big a games hub as you say it is, we might be playing that, or your shed soon, Simon. Anything.
Well, is it big if it hasn't had Marioki? I mean, like a city needs a cathedral, which isn't true. But is somewhere big in the games industry if Marioki's not played there?
I don't believe so, and neither does Marioki's accountant. Is it time for the reviews?
Let's do them.
Simon, what have you been playing this week?
Oh, Steve, I am collection level 500 and something now. Let's just call the figure up for you. I've been having a lot of fun with the Destroyer. Hello. What? Power level 16, costs 6. When you play it, destroy all of your other cards?
Sounds crazy. Sounds crazy, Simon.
But hang on a minute. Pair that up with Deadpool. Every time you destroy him, he doubles his power and returns to your hand. He costs 1. Marry him up with I know there's the Marvel. That's the designers of Marvel Snap calling Sam up at the moment because I've broken their game. Combine that with obviously Bucky and howl, and then it's just a surprise, just a lovely surprise move where somebody thinks they've got you, Steve, and then out comes the destroyer. You blow up all of your cards, although not the ones that you protected using the armor, and the ones that activate on destroyed, and then you win the game. It's just lots of fun. I'm sad that you're not talking over audio to your play, because I'll just be going at you. So I've been playing that, but I've also been playing Sonic Frontiers.
Me too. That was the one I was talking about, the other big hitter. So there we go. What do you think?
I don't know what I think, Steve. I've got absolutely no idea what is going on, why it is going on.
Agreed.
What is happening because of anything, but I'm quite enjoying it.
Certainly tells you to collect a lot of things all the time.
And talk to lots of people all the time. And then, there's just something to do everywhere, isn't there?
Yeah.
Isn't it weird? Isn't it weird?
I am also compelled to keep playing it, and fundamentally, is that not like the core of a good game? If you want to keep playing something, then it's probably doing something right. However, it is also evidently just someone at Sega's gone, right, we need our own Breath of the Wild, so just play this a little bit, and then do it as best you can. It is a janky Breath of the Wild, and in spaces just feels very unimaginative, not just because it is like this thing but in Sonic's universe. I say that it's, it looks like this thing but in an Unreal 5 just grassy grim world with some rain and Sonic, but also because the little puzzles, you're like, really, is that what you're doing? Oh, there's a fishing minigame, really? And it's not that great a fishing minigame. Oh, there's some block puzzles, and just the scenery, you're in this kind of Zelda Breath of the Wild like world, except for with angular geometry and rail slides everywhere, hanging in the air for no real reason. It's unattractive, but compelling, a lot like the One Life Left team.
Yes, it's and then it has this really weird music.
Yeah.
It's almost, I mean, which is so ill-suited, but for some reason it works. And then it also has areas you can jump into, classic Sonic 3D levels. And so I take it you've not got off the first island, Steve?
No, so I'm still there, and I was thinking, as I was playing this last night, and I was thinking about all of the things that make me a little bit grumpy about it. I'm like, I'm obviously early in this experience, and it could be that in order to contrast this first island, make it as grim dark as possible, and then you're suddenly in the glowy, more Sonic-like levels afterwards. I don't know. It still feels weird to me. But yeah, I don't know, I'm still opening up the game, right? I'm still just wandering around doing all of the little tasks, revealing bits of the map, chatting to the weird little anime boy and seeing stuff that I don't understand and don't care about at all. Yeah, but as I said, enjoying it. Why? Are you further through it than I am?
No, I'm not, but I've seen people talk about the second island, and that is at odds with the sort of Zelda Breath of the Wild look.
Right.
It goes more to the sort of island themes, but yeah, it's odd, isn't it? It's not. What I found with Breath of the Wild was that that objective at the start, defeat Ganon, that was absolutely what I was going to do. And with Sonic Frontiers, I got no idea what's happening, but you can turn it on for 10-15 minutes, do some jumping about, and have a pretty good time.
Yeah, and I've enjoyed the sense of speed in it, really have, and speed and control. I think it handles all of that stuff really well, as it should for a game that's been based on that for 20 odd years.
I love
30.
how customizable the graphics options are in terms of where the camera is, how close to Sonic, because when I saw people playing at EGX, Sonic was running around the island. He's super tiny, but you can zoom that in and you can play it more like like an old school 3D platformer if you're so way inclined, which I am.
But what I worry about is that it's all very well saying, oh, it's a bit janky, I just watched a seagull fly through a cliff, and that stuff doesn't really matter. But when you look at the low level stuff, when you press the map button to call up the map. The map comes up, there's a little animation, and then there's a pause, and then the locations of everything that you found and the things that you've yet to found drop in as well. And that poor user experience for me, mirrored probably 1,000 times in other things that I haven't found, I think is probably going to kill it for me initially, because it's just that slightly annoys me, and there'll be other things that slightly annoy me as well. For now, yeah, I'm enjoying the breadth, if not the quality of that breadth.
7 out of 10. Sam, what have you been playing?
Actually, I like the little rivalry between you two. I've not really heard this before. That's the second time this evening there's been how far have you got? Are you ahead of me? Yeah. I like this. This is a nice little dynamic.
Steve is like that.
I do. Yeah.
Sadly, I am winning at age. And so, the last laugh will be on Steve.
We'll see.
He's here on his own. He's on his own.
So what have I been playing? Yeah, so, well, if it was a week's time, I'd be playing a lot of Football Manager. I've installed it and not opened it yet, the 2023 version, so I'm sure that will be taking some time. I've been playing a lot of Retro Bowl, which is New Star Games' NFL game. Fantastic game. The NFL season is live at the moment. I would check that out if you've never played it. But the one I want to talk about is a mobile game called Flutter, which is made by a New Zealand studio called Runaway. Here you are. I should be talking about UK studios and their amazing products, but I'm quite captivated by this and have been for quite some time. In essence, you're making your own virtual butterfly sanctuary. You're creating these nice environments for butterflies, you're sending them on missions, you're growing plants and flowers to attract some of them, and you have to look after those cute little caterpillars. I play a fair amount of games. This is the most relaxing and peaceful thing you could possibly play, and if you've been working hard or playing hard, a little bit of relaxation time with something that looks absolutely luscious and beautiful is the way I like to end my day. So I'll often play a little bit before I go to bed. Really satisfying the way you can progress through it. It's not the most dynamic game, doesn't have to be. Looks the part and feels the part. And I've never come across this studio before, but one to recommend. It's called Flutter by Runaway. A solid 7 out of 10.
Doesn't sound like it's a game in which you can suddenly play a destroyer, though, does it?
I do play a bit of Marvel Snap, and I was laughing last week. Yeah, sorry, when you were talking about loading up on one cards and then surprising people. I'm just only win 2 areas, hit them with a Hulk at the end. Quite a simplistic player. Nothing. The classical way of playing, I would suggest. Nothing too intricate. But I win more than I lose, a lot more. So
well, there you go. Good stuff.
I'm still staying away. I've got a World Cup final to play this evening, Simon. England against Brazil. I'm finding it weird playing like the Qatar thing. Like, FIFA's done an incredible job on bringing everything into the game. Like, and I'm really, really enjoying the football. I do not believe that the World Cup should be held in Qatar, and it feels very strange to me playing this thing, which like playing a football game, and like trying to win the World Cup as England. But this is doubtless basically a piece of propaganda, and it's slightly unnerving. I wonder how that is going to affect me genuinely watching the World Cup as well, because this is my first time experiencing the Qatar logos and the slickness of the presentation, which, again, EA have done a good job of, but, in service of what I think most people agree is sports washing. And I really, really hope that some clever modders go out there and do something with the fans and the crowds and the people you see in the stadium, because I think there's a lot of mileage to be had with creative, disruptive work.
I enjoyed your tweet on that subject, Steve.
Thank you very much. Some of my finest work. Wait for my Mastodon. Right.
Good. That's probably it, isn't it?
Yeah. Thanks so much, Sam. You have been the best super special guest we've had for years. And you will remain that way, I am sure. Take that how you want it. It's been super fun having you on. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Simon, thank you so much for being an excellent co-host as well. Until next week.
Steve. Thank you.
We've been One Life Left. Goodbye!
Goodbye!